It's Paul Clegg here. As part of the 12 Days of Christmas pre-promotion, I've been talking about the 5 pillars of marketing that need to be joined up if you're to get the most out of your business efforts to generate more business and reach out to more clients. And they're the 5 pillars that we talk about at Marketing Crew every single week. Discussions with people with small businesses, medium-sized businesses, businesses like yours. So there's no there's no hype. There really is no impractical thinking. It's practical stuff that can work, and we hope you'll attend one of those meetings. The final part of the 5 elements is, in fact, introductions, referrals. I've spent about 20 years working with BNI, 10 of those as the executive director responsible for building and growing Somerset and Wiltshire, with some very good retention of members and I've met some really great business people in those 10 years. And I've also helped areas as far away as Northumberland, Kent, Bristol, Bath, Dorset, etc., with some of their strategies. So there's one area that I've lived and breathed for the last 20 years, and that's referrals. Actual fact, I prefer the name introductions because a referral, although people, funny enough, don't know what that means, but when you say I'd like an introduction to, then that resonates, I think, more. We know what that means. And when I say I'd like an introduction to, I mean a personal introduction, a qualified introduction, where we know that person would be interested in getting together. And that they're most valuable. And I think most people in business, especially with limited budgets and especially with limited understanding of digital marketing and marketing per se, will find and go the route of networking in order to generate that business. Now, I know that networking and referral marketing are 2 separate things. Networking is a part of the other, but for most people, they just do the networking. They don't go further to turn that business card into an introduction. They don't know how to do that. I do. And I can certainly help you in that instance. But the last few calls are about things that might be helpful to you. And what I would say is the first thing you need to know that if 82% of sales take place after the 7th touch, you also need to know that 82% of referrals or introductions are likely to appear after the 7th touch. There's no statistical basis for that. I've almost made those figures up to match the other figures that have been proven to be right. But it's not far wrong. You meet somebody at a networking event and they don't know you. They don't know what your level of competence is. They probably don't know who your exact specific target audience is, because they've probably tried to sell to you. And that's what most people do at networking events. They pitch, they sell, and they sell as if you could buy the product. And that is not the case. The people in your network are not necessarily your audience, and neither do they need to be. But they've got to see the connection between the people you help and the people they know. And that's why one of the things I would recommend if you're on a Zoom call or you're in a live networking meeting is frame the audience you want to get in front of, your target client, frame it in such a way that they can see who that person is out there. That you can describe that person, what they look like, what they sound like, what they're going to say, what they could say, what they might do, that would indicate that you ought to put them in touch with you. That's number 1. I think the other area is to recognise that we're all being judged at these meetings, and if somebody's going to know whether they trust you to handle their clients in a respectful way, you need to be trustworthy. And so they will look at the way you present yourself. They will look about your timeliness, your punctuality. It Don't think that's important. I didn't to begin with. And yet, whenever I've done a poll in any networking meeting, at least 50% of people value punctuality more than they as a first impression. I think people need to know that you're approachable. I think all of the qualities that you value in somebody, write them down, think about them, and decide whether you demonstrate those qualities. Do you follow up? Do you stay in touch? The third area I would say is that your role isn't to sell to your network, it's to educate your network. It's to educate them as to what your ideal client looks like, to really educate them as to the problems that most of those clients face and the ongoing result of those problems, and how you help resolve those problems in the unique way that you do. And it's not about what you do, it's how, what they're left with after, how they're going to feel, etc. Now you can aid that communication with testimonials. You can particularly aim that with stories. They are most valuable because they paint lasting pictures. But I think the final area, and it's probably the first one that you should address, is people generally will help people that have helped them. So approach your next meeting, approach your meetings about how you can help them do more business. And that's probably why working closely with people that share the same market is your best route forward. I know whenever I attend any networking event, there's certain areas of interest that I have, and I can usually communicate with those people. I can converse with those people a lot easier. I use the same language. So they could be marketing people. There's certainly creative people. And for that, I would include photographers. But any aspect of marketing, any aspect of creativity, I relate to very easily. And the other one are people in the health and wellness business, because that's been an overriding interest of mine. I'm reasonably knowledgeable about all aspects of holistic health. So they're natural connections, and they're natural connections to what I do and how I help people. And you'll have natural connections. And they're the sort of first people I would single out. I was talking to one of our members last week about we're doing some particular work at the moment on helping him to get from where he is now to where he needs to be, and that is a journey that everybody needs to think about. And I asked him how many contacts he had on LinkedIn, how many contacts did he have on his phone or his address book, and then how many close contacts is he regularly in contact with. And of course it ranged from 2,500 through to about 6 or 7 people. Probably the same with yourself. And one of the skills that you need to develop when it comes to introductions is taking people from the 2,500 and bringing them closer, so that you've got a close group of trusted advisors, people who will support you, who will help you, and who have access to the target market that you want to get into, and where you could share the access you have with the access they have, and together you're much bigger than the sum of those parts. Hope that proves particularly useful to you. And if you haven't already grabbed the 12 Days of Christmas special offer, which gives you access to till the end of January to all of the content we've been discussing with businesses like yours, then do so. Because what I would do, because you really could get lost in all that content, what I would suggest we do then is to get on a call together, talk a bit about the journey that you're on, and see what it is that would be the priority as far as you're concerned. Is it audience? Is it the content? Is it the sales process? Is it your retention strategy? Or do you really want to get a little bit more serious about your networking and turning those networks into qualified introductions to the ideal client? Because if it's any of those things, if we can get on a conversation, I can point you, not only give you some pointers, but or share some brainstorming ideas, but really point you to where you can get even more content, and all for £12. Unbelievable. This is the last of the series, so we've got Christmas coming. I hope you and your family have a wonderful Christmas, a fearless Christmas, and that you can look forward to a very exciting new year, because 2022 has got to be better than the last year that a lot of people have been through. Stay well. Speak to you soon. All the best.